Something that researchers who study memory, and particularly memory in children, call infantile amnesia. So, infantile about being an infant, and then amnesia is not having memories, right? You've all learned that from watching soap operas in high school, I'm sure. So, the idea of infantile amnesia is just not being able to remember being a baby. And from a perspective of cognitive development, and particularly the development of memory, this is something that is I would say, particularly interesting to developmental psychologists who study cognitive development because it is such a weird thing. Why would it be that we don't remember being a baby? Particularly because we saw earlier, you might remember 6 weeks ago now, we talked about the fact that babies remember being babies. So, Roby Collier, who did that research where she tied the ribbon around babies' ankle and taught them to kick the mobile, and then brought them back in later and saw that they remembered to kick to the mobile a week or 2 weeks later. That she could get them to remember this for 6 weeks if she sort of continued to bring them into the lab and remind them of this, demonstrates that these 3-month-old babies remember being babies, but you as an adult don't remember being 3 months old. We also know that toddlers learn really quickly and remember stuff day to day. So you can talk with a 2 or 3-year-old about what they've done that week, and they can generally give you decent answers. They remember being babies. So why would it be that babies remember being babies, toddlers remember being toddlers, but we as adults can't remember those things? We can't access those memories. Obviously, at some point they were encoded. We can rehearse them. We can recall them as children. Why can't they come back out when we're adults? And the research on this, there are many different hypotheses for why this might be, for why it is that we don't remember being a child. Does anyone have any guesses, any hypotheses for why we don't remember infancy or toddlerhood?
It's
Um,
too long ago.
Okay, so it's too long ago is one possibility. Other things.
my guess would be that our um, way of encoding back then involved our kind of unevolved form of language. Like we have language now, so we're able to say, "Hey, that's a dog. Hey, that's a computer." But back then, we didn't have words for things, so we encoded things with that understanding, and now we have no frame of reference for that understanding.
All right, so maybe it's sort of we stored stuff in a way that we can't now access. Other hypotheses. It's not as important to us as all the things we need to remember and know as adults. So that's another one that just that stuff isn't as important, that it wasn't as valuable, so we don't sort of use the mental resources to store it correctly.
Maybe the long term memory hasn't been like needed as much now or at that point, so it's not as developed as maybe their short term memory is.
All right, so maybe it's that we haven't our long-term memory just wasn't as fully developed. That those processes of encoding and retrieval weren't fully online. Maybe the storage processes weren't. Our sheet said something and I missed it. Um, we may have made so many memories that there isn't any room for the older ones. So that's sort of similar to this idea that maybe it's just so long ago that we've forgotten. So there are a number of sort of equally valid hypotheses for why this might be. Most of the research suggests that it's probably not about how long ago it was or how many memories we've stored since then, because we'll see that an 80-year-old can remember being 5 just as effectively as a 10-year-old can remember being 5, or a 20-year-old can remember being 5. So it's probably not just about years of life or the number of memories, but that some of these things that make kind of baby brains different than adult brains might be what's driving this effect. And Derry was actually very close to sort of one of the most well-respected hypotheses. Again, there's still a lot of work being done on this, but one of the kind of best hypotheses out there for infantile amnesia is that children are learning things in a way that makes sense to children. So in those first years of life, we're storing things in a way that might be a totally different organizational system than we would be using now. For one, we know that children are far more likely to do this verbatim encoding. They're focusing on details. So they might be taking in kind of these snapshots of details, but they don't have those scripts in place yet to act your story accordingly. But the first time you went to a birthday party, you didn't know that yet. So it was much harder to remember what it was that was going on. You were probably just remembering kind of the interesting little details. I grew up in Santa Rosa, and we did a lot of driving growing up. We did a lot of driving to Humboldt County to see my grandmother, driving places. And once we drove from Santa Rosa